folks. Kim Mitchell here. You know, however you choose to get around, your ATV, your snowmobile, your boat, car, if you have a motorcycle, all these things take 100% of your attention and skill to operate safely. Alcohol impairs that, and bad things can happen. So, be smart, okay? You know what I'm going to say next.
This message brought to you from the Safe and Sober Awareness Committee.
And we're back on Freshwaves. We've got Jolana in the house, and we're talking about spring decorating. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that always comes with the spring is this feeling of cleaning up, of starting new projects and things. Mm-hmm. So there are certain things that we can start working on now. If you're doing a planning, tell us about the planning, Jolana, because I know it's one of your big things.
Yeah, so typically if you want to do, for example, let's say a bathroom reno, it's not going to start next week or even next month and possibly not even 2 months down the road. You have to do a lot of planning. Start looking at your pictures. Start figuring out what your direction is. Either if you're doing it yourself or you're having someone help you, you've got to start looking at what kind of tubs do I want? What kind of faucets do I want? Do I want a quartz countertop? What kind of floors do I want? You've got to pretty much have that all figured out and have everything on site prior to when your project starts.
Right.
Contractors right now, this is their busy, crazy season. So starting sort of in March right through till Christmas, this is a very, very busy time. So if you have a project that you want to get going on, your first call should be to the contractor just to say, what is your timeline? Yeah.
Okay, because they do book up really quickly.
Oh, my goodness, very quickly. And again, more people are spending time at home, Bren.
Mm-hmm. And you got to think about the order of things as well.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to put in all new flooring and then decide, you know what, I actually should paint the wall.
Yeah, well,
you can, but you know what? It's probably better to do it the other way around.
Yeah, like you want to make sure that you've got your timeline and your agenda and your schedule figured out prior to when the job starts.
Right.
Because people are going to come in at different times and you don't want 2 or 3 people falling over each other while they're each trying to do their job.
They don't want to do that either.
They won't do it.
They get really annoyed.
They won't do it. Yeah. So again, the trick is have all your elements chosen, make sure they're on site. Once your contractor gives you your date when he is going to start, you need to have everything already figured out. So really, really, really important to do that. Kitchens, another example. Start thinking about what your layout is. What do you want to change? What do you like about your existing kitchen? Do you want to take out walls? Are we leaving in walls? All those are really important things before you even really sit down and speak to either a designer or a contractor. We have to understand your vision. Mm-hmm. We can make it work for you. But we also have to know that you've put some time and thought into it in terms of, direction.
Right.
Everything else we can kind of help you walk you through what the process is. Same thing. You're not going to start your reno job until you know that the kitchen is almost ready to go in. Mm-hmm. So that you're not sitting there for 3 months wondering what's going on.
Right.
So there is a proper order to all of these things. Now, if you simply want to freshen up, painting. Oh my gosh, that's got to be about the easiest way to completely change the interior. And it's very, very simple to do. Take down all your pictures, all of them. Fill in all your nail holes. Because once you've painted, why would you make it look exactly the same?
Yeah.
You may want to move around where your artwork is to really make it feel like it's a whole new space again. Right. So that's a really big one. Taking on do-it-yourself projects. We're coming into the season where the weather is better. You can work in your garage. So whether you're stripping something or you're going to paint something or you're going to antique something, right. This is the time of year you may want to start thinking about it. Again, magazines, internet, absolutely the first place to start because you are going to get great ideas. If you have a great imagination, then you may not need to. But what I notice is most of us have a vision in our mind, but it's very hard to communicate it. So if you can find a picture and say, I love this, can we do this too? This? the answer is going to be yes, or no, that's going to be really difficult or not worth it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And those are the kinds of things that you need to get going. Like you always say, the planning stage is probably the most important part of any redo that you ever do.
Mm-hmm. And just remember, if you're painting a dresser, you may not want to paint the top. You may want to stain the top. And why I say that, if you're painting the bottom, as soon as you slide something across the top of that dresser, it pretty much guaranteed it's going to scratch. Mm-hmm. And if that's not going to drive you crazy, you're okay. But most people, you're careful for the first little bit and then you kind of forget. So, and it's a great look to have a wood top with a painted bottom. Yeah, a lot more functional, a lot more serviceable, and a lot more interesting as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's also a fun time of year to start driving around and doing some antiquing and garage
sailing.
Oh
my goodness, absolutely. Yay. So if you love antiquing, this is where you have to look at the shape. Don't look at the color. Don't look at the stain. Look at the bones of the piece. And if it's a piece that you can see as this incredible vanity, anything can be done to change the look of it or the finish of it. Right. So the important thing is the construction, everything can be changed.
I find that when they change the knobs up sometimes, it's a whole new look.
Sure it is. And sometimes, going back to kitchens, sometimes it's not the kitchen that you hate. Sometimes it is simply the knobs and the hardware that you've got. And if you still love your kitchen and the footprint of your kitchen is working for the way your family functions from day to day, put a little bit of money into some great cup holders for your drawers and great handles for your doors or great knobs for your doors. Mm-hmm. There are so many different products out there today that you can really bring in your own personality by changing up the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So easy things, right? And you can take that into an ensuite, into a powder room. Super easy things to do, to change up perhaps the look of it.
Yeah, good points, good points. Mm-hmm. I like pondering all of these interesting things.
Yeah, and powder rooms. Everybody uses their powder rooms. Everyone, whether it's your family or whether it's your guests coming in.
Right.
Why not put in a great wallpaper? Why not? That's one room you're not going to get tired of it in. I wouldn't necessarily do it in a main room that you're living in every day because your eye tends to get tired of the same old. But in a powder room, and most powder rooms are tiny, do not be afraid to do a big, huge, oversized floral or a big, huge, oversized pattern.
It in a small space.
Looks amazing. Looks absolutely amazing.
It doesn't make it feel even smaller?
The pattern is, the more icky-ticky it looks, the more everything looks tiny. So if you think of the floor. Instead of doing small tiles in a small bathroom, you do big, huge tiles. What's it going to do to your floor space? It's going to give the illusion that you have a bigger floor space. So little things that you can do. And have fun. And do a black background.
We did have actually a listener ask a question about the lighting in a small bathroom because
have fun with
no windows. It tends to be a dark space. So apparently she had the makeup lights, but she finds them really harsh. So what can she do to make it bright but not stark and crazy?
Did she happen to mention if she had an overhead light as well?
No, she didn't say.
No, okay. So what I love in a powder room is you can have two different lights. So you can have a little overhead light and then perhaps have a little vanity light. I would put them both on dimmers because most people are not going in to put on their full-on makeup.
Right, they're just visiting, right?
They're literally just...
You hope they're already made up before they
visiting. Yeah. And if you're sitting there, why not put a fabulous chandelier, which is going to reflect in the mirror, which is usually directly in front of you. Usually. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But again, think of the space as your opportunity to be that little bit bolder that you might not be everywhere else. And it is
chandelier
so much
in
fun.
The powder room.
Sure. There's tiny chandeliers available.
Really? I would never have thought of that.
Goodness, absolutely. There's so many options today for lighting, from the simplest to the most contemporary to the most traditional. So what do we do first? We got to plan.
Right.
What's our look?
Okay.
Yeah, and just because you have a really super traditional home, does not mean you can't do a really fun contemporary looking little chandelier, mini chandelier in the bathroom. So just be creative. Look at the ideas that are out there for you to explore. There's so much. There's no right or wrong answer. Well, I shouldn't say that. There could be, but
Yeah.
for the most part, just allow your creativity to shine.
All right. So that was going out to Kelly, who sent us that question on Facebook about lighting in the powder room. Now, we did have another question. I believe it was from Barb, and she was asking about trying to blend practical elements with non-practical elements for front door mats, because there is
certain
the
times
Costco
of the year,
things, but at this time of the year when we're getting into the muck and the wet, and if you don't have a paved driveway, or even if you have kids that are coming in, the mud is insane.
Yeah.
And you seem to go through carpets like other people go through paper towels. So you want something that's going to be practical. Have you got any suggestions?
Absolutely. The first thing I'm going to tell you to think about is make sure you have a doormat at the front door before you even get in the house.
Well, that's what she was saying.
Right.
What can she put at that front door that's going to look nice? But
There's lots and lots of doormats available out there, from the rubber ones to, be careful with some of the sisal ones, because you tend to bring in some of the sisal as you rub your feet. It comes inside, right? You know, the little bristles.
Oh, right.
Right.
Like the coconut mats.
Yeah, like the coconut mats. So those may not be the most practical application. You've got some now that almost look like grill work on the floor. You've probably seen some of those. They have like the cutout patterns.
Oh, right.
What's nice with that is it allows kind of the dirt to fall through, but it gives you a really pretty looking design. So start with that mat. When you walk on the inside, when you get to the inside of your door, make sure your front door mat is going to be bigger than just like a 2x3. You want to be able to step in, turn around, close your door. If you have groceries, and still be on the mat. So typically most mats tend to be like 3x5 or 3.5 by 5.5 tends to be a pretty good size. Most doors, whether you have side lights or double doors, tend to be approximately 5 feet in width. So it'll cover, right, the sort of the front door entrance area. Again, recommended 2 different types of carpets. Like you were mentioning, there are certain times of the year when you've got the salt, you've got the dust, the dirt. Those times of year, just make sure whatever carpet you choose, it is one that is cleanable. And I'm not necessarily saying taking it to the dry cleaners all the time, because that's going to cost you a fortune.
Right.
So
just something that you could throw in the washing machine.
Not so much washing machine, but taking a brush to it, you know, the old fashioned way, just kind of using a paddle or something to get as much of the dirt out as you can to put it back down.
Right.
During the summer months, oh my gosh, sky's the limit. Have some real fun with it and get some beautiful carpets. There are now options of indoor-outdoor carpets where you can actually take a hose to it.
Oh, nice.
And completely clean it. So obviously it has to be dry before you bring it back in. But in the summer, that's not an issue because the sun dries it very quickly. Most of the indoor-outdoor carpets, they're sun-fast, so they're not going to fade.
Okay, so where do you find these things?
All over the place. Google it and you're going to get somewhere close by to you. Patty Lynn's will carry it. Home Depot's will carry it. And I'm sure I'm missing other people that are in town.
There's a lot. Like Costco has a bunch.
Costco does have some. Now, most of the ones Costco seem to have is the kind of the vinyl-y ones. Yeah. Some of those, be careful with those at a front door because if it is a little bit slippy, they can be slippy.
Right.
And not really that interesting to look at. If it's a back door, fine. But if it's a front door, I would say you may want something that's just a little bit dressier looking. Mm-hmm. The more pattern there is to it, the more it's going to camouflage. So don't just go out and buy a cream carpet, like a tone-on-tone cream, because that's going to be filthy.
Yeah, within one visit.
Yeah, in no time. So really think of your practicality element. So, as Barb was saying, you want it to be practical, but you want it to look beautiful. So I think that could be one way where you get a little bit of both.
Right.
And also be well aware before you go out looking for carpets, how thick or thin your carpet can be.
Right, because of the door.
Yeah, some of the doors
closet.
give you very, very little room. There's usually a little bit, but it's very little. And others will have a bit of a lip before the door opens. So, yeah, just be aware of that.
Good to consider.
Yeah.
And to get something that kind of, I don't know, what do you do with the flooring? Is it a matchy-matchy thing that you're going for, or do you want the carpet to be completely different than the color
You know
of
what?
your floor?
It really depends on the house and your colors and your style. If you've got hardwood starting at the front door, which a lot of people do have, you're probably going to want something that's going to complement the hardwood.
Or the tones of the wood.
Yeah, the tones of it. If you've got tile, most people still tend to do something more in the neutral element as opposed to color in a tile. So you could add as much color or not to that front entrance. Again, it's a place where you can express yourself.
Right.
Painting the door from the inside black, not the frame, just the actual door. If you want that presence as people walk out the door, it looks spectacular. So then you've got your neutral element being the black. If your tiles are gray or beige, it doesn't matter, neutral. Then here's a place where you can actually add some great color. So whether you're more modern or whether you're more traditional, it'll make a huge impact. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's what she was looking for, is something that's practical, but she also doesn't want it to stand out like a sore thumb or look like it's an industrial carpet, because sometimes you can get that look now. You know, they are practical, but they don't look so nice.
Yeah, and if you're struggling with what I'm saying about the black door, just Google black architectural interior front doors.
Okay.
And the hundreds of pictures will come up. It's beautiful. It's a great way to make an impact.
Okay, that's something I never would have thought of. Well, it's time for us to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Jolana. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can contact us, Jay, by going onto Facebook.
Going onto Facebook and go to Freshwaves on Whistle FM. We're also on Twitter at Freshwaves Radio.
Okay, sounds great. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Fresh Waves on Whistle FM.
Hey everyone, this is Lil J. Join me every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the Block Party. A 2-hour journey of the best in the Canadian underground dance music scene, featuring tracks and DJ mixes from Canada's emerging artists. From the disco hits of the 70s to the latest dance floor fillers. No lineups or cover charges, it's your weekly free access to the beats that are packing dance floors in Canada and around the world. The Block Party, Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on 102.9 Whistle FM.
And here we are back on Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bryn Masson, and we're talking with Jolana Pettefier from Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor about decorating for spring. Now, we were just talking about window coverings. I guess in the wintertime, you want something with a little bit of an insulation value, but in the summertime, you also need that insulation value to protect you from the heat of the sun.
Yeah, so there are lots of products out there which are wonderful. The first one I'm going to talk about would be more of a vinyl that is called a sunshade. So if you picture a vinyl and it's perforated, little holes in it, it's going to give you UV resistance. So if you've got hardwood floors, for example, you want something that's going to protect your floors as well. Okay. So when you pull it down, you're still going to see some light come through. So it's not going to feel like a cave, but at the same time, it's going to be protective and keep the heat in because of that vinyl layer in front of your windows. And then same thing in the summer when it's crazy hot outside. In fact, it's amazing when we put in sunshades. So if we go into a client's home and they want it more just also for look, they will always call us and tell us we cannot believe how much cooler it is in the summer when we put those blinds down. Yet you can still see through them. So you're not losing your view. All you're doing is just you're adding that little bit of an insulative quality to it. Vinyl is easy to clean. So if you've got little ones and there's, fingers where sometimes they shouldn't be, really, really easy to clean. And they come in fabulous colors now. Years ago, you had maybe 4 or 5 colors. Now, oh my goodness, sky's the limit. They also have different percentages of openness or closeness. So the amount that you can see through or not, which is also really great because you can, if you want some privacy, you have a privacy factor that you can do as well. If you want it more for that heat or keeping the heat in or keeping the heat out, whichever way you want it to be, it also gives you that, which is wonderful. The other thing that people love is California shutters. Again, now it depends on your look. So not every house is going to like the look of a California shutter. But if you tend to like a little bit more minimalistic, perhaps a little more modern, California shutters are just a great way to change up the look in your home. And you can do them now with invisible wands. Years ago, you know how you would have that in the center and they weren't really pretty. So now they're all on the inside. You really don't see it. You have wood or vinyl options, which is really nice too. And you can still do a window treatment. A lot of people think you can't, but you can still do a window treatment with the California shutter. So picture doing, just side panels, whether it's a fabric or whether it's sheers. That's a way to warm it up because most people are afraid. California shutters can be very cold looking. They can. So if there's certain rooms you want that little bit more warmth, you can still add your draperies to it, which is great. You've also got blinds, kind of like a roller blind.
Right.
You've probably seen driving through neighborhoods now, if they're down, they look like stripes.
Yes.
They're awesome because when you line up the stripes, people can't see in. When you put the stripes so they're offset from each other, you've got this element where it's more of a sheer, so you can still see through. So again, another really great option. And they do come in many, many different colors. Sheers themselves. If you don't want any actual window blind in your window, there are some beautiful sheer options today that will give you that coverage and help you a little bit with the sun. Now, keep in mind, sun can be very wicked on fabric, so just be careful which windows you're putting them in. But yeah, there's lots of options.
Sounds like a lot of fun, actually, to start doing these things and swapping up your pillows and your cushions and, just making something great. Now, what if you wanted to just do your master bedroom?
Yep. Okay. Master bedroom, again, to me, that's your oasis. You're in there every night. It should be a room that when you walk in, like, it's that deep sigh of relief. And you love being there.
I'm home.
Yeah, I'm home. Yeah, exactly. I'm home. So bedding is a great way to do that. And again, I typically will recommend that you have two different looks. Some people like 3. Sometimes you can mix and match them, but you can create sort of that winter look where perhaps it's a little bit of a deeper toned color palette. But in the summer, you may want to have your white on whites with all your great colors that you want to bring in, no matter what they are, whether they're blues, pinks, reds, whatever. And it can really change it up. A coverlet at the foot of the bed. If you're not very adventurous on your sheeting, why not do a coverlet? That is a little bit more adventuresome. Or your shams, because they're at the very back of your, when you do your bed, you'll have your Euro shams, for example, at the back, then you might have your shams in front of it, right?
Right.
So your shams, why not do something that's a little bit more colorful? We quite often do them two-sided, so you have 2 completely different looks with one Euro sham. A lot of people complain, I don't want to be taking off a million pillows. Instead of a whole bunch of smaller pillows, do one really long kidney in front of your shams. Looks great, easy to take off. There's not a whole lot of other stuff.
What do you mean by a kidney?
So they're long cushions. So picture a cushion that's about 15 inches high by about 36 inches wide. Okay, so whether you've got a queen or a king. It's just because if you think of where your kidneys are, if you were sitting on a sofa, it would come just,
there. Okay, right at the small of your back.
Yeah, so it's not the shape of a kidney. That's actually a good point. It's more,
because I'm trying to think kidney bean.
Yeah, it's more half high. And again, do it two-sided. You got 2 completely different looks, so you can kind of play around with the look that you want, winter, summer, spring, whatever. On your actual flat sheet and fitted sheets, maybe get yourself 2 different colors. Easy way to change up the look of your whole bedding ensemble. Do a white and do a color, whatever that color may be.
Yeah, that sounds like a neat idea.
Yeah, so it is a lot of fun. Adding a bench, if there's room, to the foot of your bed.
Right. That's always a nice thing, I think.
It's kind of that layering thing, right? I'm big on layering.
It's also practical, and that's where I come from always. So it's nice to be able to sit down and put your shoes on in the morning.
And it's also nice to have a place to put all your nice pillows, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a dual purpose,
right,
which is really nice. Changing up your lampshades, again, such a simple thing to do. Giving yourself headboard wallpaper, where your bed is, that headboard wall, maybe have wallpaper on that wall, or do a focal wall color different than the rest of the room. So again, that's an opportunity to be a little more creative. Lighting. There are so many great options today where you are not breaking the bank. You're staring at that chandelier every day.
Might as well have a nice one.
Make it beautiful. Yeah. Make it a statement piece that you absolutely love. So yeah, very, very, very simple ways to just add that little bit of loveliness. A little acrylic floral arrangement on her side. An absolutely great tripod clock, alarm clock. I know we all use our phones, but it's a visual thing. Stage your end tables. Don't just layer them with junk.
Oh, mine's just filled with books.
Yeah, books are okay because I stage with books on mine all the time. I'm a reader, but I also love to stage with it. So just make it so that when you walk in, you love it. I make my bed every day.
I do too.
I have 15 pillows on my bed. Yes, I do. And I love every single one of them. But every night when I go into the bedroom, I love being in there.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Well, these are all just great tips. Every time you're in, we have a wonderful time talking about these wonderful decorating tips. Thank you so much for coming in today, Jolana.
So
we really love having you
welcome.
here. Now, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
You can actually call us at 905-888-5225. That's the studio, and you can speak with Ellen or Ingrid, and they'll be happy to set up a consultation time with me. We come into your home. And just talk about all your design projects, or if you simply just want to finish off a room by adding some great lamps. So no job is too big or too small. And you can also have a look at us on the internet. Just put in JOLANAS, and that'll take you.
It's like bananas, but it's Jolana's.
Yeah, I know. Everyone does a Y by accident, but it's JOLANAS, and that takes you to Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor. And we would love to hear from you.
Sounds great. And thank you again for all of your help and all these little tidbits that you give us every time you come in. It's nice. You can go to the podcast at freshwaves.ca, and we'll have the podcast up a couple days after the show, and you can always listen in. And you know what? It's nice also to stroll through some old shows or shows that we've done in the past, and the tips are endless.
They are.
And they're great.
And you know, one thing I did forget to say, and it is important, music. Do not forget to bring in your music. The Bose speakers today, they're tiny. And
or the Google Home.
The Google Home. It's like you have a symphony in your backyard. So music is good for the soul. So no matter what else you do with respect to design, do not forget about the music elements.
It's wonderful. And we're going to be talking about that in the second hour of the show today. We're going to talk about decorating with music and creating a mood with music. So, like we said, Jolana, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll be taking our break now for the top of the hour, the news and the weather and all that kind of fun stuff. And when we come back, we'll be talking about decorating with music. You're listening to Fresh Waves on Whistle FM, and we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.